How's everybody doing? Okay, today we are going to talk about Capricorn and Cancer, cardinal earth and cardinal water. People have been requesting for this combination, and I swore to God that I had done this combination. When finally my team, my bureau, right, told me, no, Fernando, you did not do Cancer and Capricorn. So I am checking, and I see that I did not do Cancer and Capricorn. Okay, so now let's go into it. Let's ascribe this combination to nature, right? And see where we see this combination in nature. Now, the one thing that I think would be, uh, of course, we have to start with, I'm trying to calibrate things here, is dealing with nature and ascribe this combination to nature and see exactly um, we can make a sense of it. Okay. Now understand that we are dealing with an opposition. We're dealing with an opposition when we are dealing with earth and water. Even though they are sextiles, and that falls under compatibility. Cancer is the natural opposite polarity of Capricorn. So it is a 180-degree opposition. And for that, we have to call it, and the modality is cardinal and cardinal. So you got two cardinals, and you got two cardinal modalities, and also two opposing elements that naturally work in sextile and in harmony together. But that's only one aspect. The opposition and the double cardinality as a modality renders this combination incompatibility of signs. I know this is an outcry in YouTube community, and I think that many astrologers I probably have stepped on their shoes, especially the older astrologers, because at 50 years old, I'm not considered an old astrologer. An old astrologer is someone in his late 60s and 70s, you know? So even though I have ample experience, it will still not hold water when it comes to falling along lines of more prominent and aged and accomplished astrologers that have gone, before me, and they might not be in agreement, but I have to tell you, the opposition of these two cardinal signs will render, in my opinion, and having done this for almost a quarter of a century, or more than a quarter of a century, is that it falls under incompatibility of signs. Both Cancer and Capricorn are extremely ambitious and extremely, if we go towards extremes, both are dangerous signs to each other, to themselves, and to the rest of us. You know, success and success alone is what's important to these two very powerful cardinal signs. Each of them, however, for different reasons. For different reasons. You have to understand that I have I don't know. I feel I miss back. Oh yeah, Mary Kay, time use. I have to tell you, the the Cancer man seeks success and upward mobility. The Cancer woman does too, but the Cancer woman will not be very active about it. She is going to expect that it will be found by the man that she courts, and that the man that she courts will be able to provide her with a kind of security that she knows she deserves. Okay? That's one thing. However, in nature, where do we find this combination? Well, uh, Capricorn rules the mountaintops. The mountaintops, where the goat is. Because the goat looks down into the valley. So you can say that you have the clouds. You know, some peak mountains, like Mount Everest, for example, you can see the clouds. You can almost touch the clouds. And in some places, when you have dew point, you do. So understand that water is the essence of Cancer. So here you see the hilltops of the mountains, and it's so high that it touches the clouds. The clouds is Cancer because it's all water, right? So you will see the water up there in harmony with Earth, the mountaintop. And it is an exclusive relationship because not many people can go up a mountain or like that, like Mount Everest. You gotta be a professional climber. So many people have lost their lives climbing these high monoliths, for whatever pleasure they get out of it. There are a lot of lives that have been claimed. So understand that to go on this quest is only for a select few. Capricorn is the sign of the elite. And by default, so is Cancer at its opposite. So we see in nature that there is a beauty, like the seven wonders of the world. There is a beauty that that only people can obtain. Most of us, it's only a dream. We can only see it on a postcard of people who have actually climbed these top mountains, and it's recorded on the news, and we see it on the news, or we see it in magazines. That's the only way that we get to appreciate that. Otherwise, it is a goal that will never be able to be reached by the average human being. So we have to look at this combination, another power couple, but that of extreme nobility. There's a nobility with this combination, like Margaret Thatcher, right, or Eleanor Roosevelt and Teddy. There is an austerity with this combination that confers an air of class, rulership, and actual divine right of kings. So this combination can be over the top, though. Oh yeah. So having said that the whole point of this analogy with nature is that there are certain aspects of nature that we cannot access, and it's exclusive. And it's only for the very few humans that can actually feat these types of accomplishments, like rock climbing and reaching Mount Everest and touching the pinnacle. These are unique individuals indeed. And like I said, many people have lost their lives trying to reach that peak, whatever mountain it may be. So that lets you know that this combination is not advent to sacrifice. This combination is not foreign to going through extreme pain and sorrow in order to sharpen their character so they can continue moving upwards up the ladder. Okay? They don't mind going through the pain and going through the sacrifice and even achieving minimal pleasure if it means that they obtain the ultimate goal. So we're looking at a combination that is strictly conservative. The conservatism will come from Capricorn, but Cancer will follow suit. Now, again, This may not be obvious because if we're dealing with a combination in which the folks are below 30, these types of disciplines may not come to the surface and develop until much later if the relationship persists. But in the case that it doesn't, it will be at best a cat and mouse type of relationship. No, a tease and taunt type of relationship. But if it gets to a point where it becomes serious and we get past the honeymoon phase and get past the rudimentaries of mixed relationship at first beginning so special, then we see the shortcomings, and then we see where the potential for dissolution can occur, but also the potential for growth. Understand that these things don't usually come into the consciousness of people at that age. It has to be evolved over time and experience. Cancer is probably the most withdrawn, but that doesn't mean that she plays an inactive role in the relationship. She is the cultivator, setting the ground and establishing the foundation for the relationship to begin to have a platform, a nice spring back platform for it to jump off and go forward. Okay, so Cancer becomes the support base, while Capricorn becomes the executor. So this is a harmonizing, workable relationship. When it comes to a common goal and arriving at a common goal, then this combination can truly be like a herringbone or a chain. You cannot be able to break it because they're locked on a particular focus. If the relationship does develop a form of consistency in which both parties want to achieve a common goal, this will be the combination that will see it through. Because both of them, Cancer and Capricorn, have very powerful work ethics. And they really believe in working hard, but when it's time to play hard, they play hard too. So this combination will be considered a combination of extremes. And the extremes can be both good or it can be bad. It can be productive or counterproductive. It really depends on the goal of the relationship and how serious they are, each individual person, in evolving themselves as individuals, but also the couple. Because this type of combination is going to require that there is a meeting of the minds. When there is a meeting of the mind with this particular type of combination, you can really accent the goals and actually bring them further into the closer than in most other combination. Now, what is the actual specificities? Well, first, these two sun signs are often seen as the father and mother of the zodiac. Okay, so for Capricorn and Cancer compatibility, it's a good traditional and conservative sense that it will be termed in that way because they are the mother and father of the rest of the zodiac. Because, just like we have a family structure on earth, we have a family structure in the heavens. As above, so below. Okay? While Cancer cares for the nurturing and caring and the sustenance part of family values. Capricorn will provide an emotional anchor. But that in itself is a misnomer because Capricorn is a feeling energy. There's a lot of feeling in Capricorn, in both men and the woman. But in the men, lots of common sense, discipline, and wisdom will be the emotional anchor that's referred here when we're talking about Capricorn. The sage and the homemaker between them can create the archetypical happy family home regardless of the partner's genders, because it is integral to the sign of Cancer to develop a sense of family structure. Because if you have a good family structure, basically the personality and ego that will develop from that good family structure will be a balanced personality. The problem becomes when there is no balance. Okay? Absolutely. Take a little point here. Uh-huh. Okay. So understand how how this goes. Okay. Capricorn and Cancer are opposite signs in astrology. Okay. Compatibility between the two opposites is often good as they provide a special balance of qualities. And that's usually kind of like a generic answer because it may work well in theory, but in reality, both sides can actually engage in the war of the roses and tear each other apart. Each one in their own individual way. Okay? So it's not always good and peachy like many sites and many other astrologers ascribe this combination to be. Yeah, that can be fun and peachy and it can be a very workable and cohesive combination, but that's not usually the case when you're below 30. It actually is quite tumultuous. There's a lot of knowing of yourself before it can get to a level where one can appreciate each other's talents and traits, let alone build towards a third body, which is the relationship. I've mentioned that over and over again in my other videos that unless there is a level of self-awareness within each individual, there is no way that they're going to come together in the meeting of the minds to cultivate a third body, which is the relationship. Which is why I always tell people, especially young people, that if they are involved in a relationship and they feel love, it's wonderful to feel love. But at the same time, you can feel lust too. And at the same time, it's something that will wear off. So when it wears off, will you be willing to do the work to then bring the relationship to another level when it might entail not so many fun stuff, but more sacrificial stuff? Because that always happens in relationships. Relationships are not stagnant. They don't stay the same. They continue to evolve. Okay. Now with this combination, you could have a fork on the road where if the relationship is safe because there's no evolution among each person, that can become a codependent relationship. But once the other person begins to wake up, and in this instance, it will most probably be the Cancer man or the Cancer woman, and they will move forward and branch out, develop wings, and take off as a natural progression, of course. But the problem is that both Cancer and Capricorns can be rather controlling and emotionally manipulative. And this is something that they do well and works very well when they're dealing with other people. It becomes a Mexican standoff, though, when they deal with each other, when they realize that one cannot trump the weaknesses of the other. So in that sense, what was started out as harmonious can actually polarize and become a mess. So then, what do you do? How do you rectify the situation? Okay? For both Capricorn and Cancer, compatibility is something that has to be worked on because elementally they are compatible. The fact that they're both cardinal signs means that they can both go in opposite directions and not completely buy into um, any form of collaborative effort and trying to meet the other person halfway. No, if you don't meet one, both of them might not be able to. Capricorn might come across kind of rough. The Cancer woman will get hurt and withdraw and then internalize and maybe might not be able to bring out what she needs. She might be overpowered by the Capricorn. But it can also happen the other way around too, where she can be so manipulative and controlling that she might usurp the authority of her husband or boyfriend. No, it really depends on how powerful their energies are, their need for control, their passion to live the what life that they want to live, and how and whatever reference or however means they can obtain it, they will. The question becomes: are they going to do this at the expense of their own souls? Are they going to do this at the expense of their own development? Because at the end of the day, let me tell you, Capricorn and Cancer, they're the ones that will marry for money, not for love. Because the security for them is far more important than what love can provide as a basis of security. Emotional security is one thing, but having a hefty bank account and some financial instruments when your money is sheltered, it sounds even better, and it's actually much more sexy. Okay, so moving right along, talking a little bit of the Capricorn man dealing with the Cancer woman. Okay, although the Capricorn is sometimes seen as being a cold person, actually he's not cold at all. He's actually quite a feeling person. Amanda is truly conscientious and truly devoted towards helping his fellow human beings. That is actually true. One might not suspect it or see it openly with the Capricorn man. But if one gets past the barriers of resistance that he likes to put up. Remember, in Capricorn 1 and 2, in my videos, I mentioned about how he likes to put a wall and a barricade where he stays inward. That's something that I don't think is healthy or positive that should be allowed, should be endorsed. I'm not quite convinced that that should be the course of action. Not quite convinced. Okay, now it seems like I mentioned that there's a lot of stuff that can go right or it can go wrong with this relationship. I mentioned mostly that this relationship is kind of like a business relationship. There is not going to be the type of romantic interlude or even feelings of ecstasy like you might find in the other signs with this combination. And it is not that they don't feel it and that they're prudish and they don't like a good time in the sack. No, it's not about that. It's a certain level of comfortability that first has to be realized before any level of measure of intimacy can be established with this combination. Truly. Because if you don't have that, then how is the relationship going to continue further? Okay. Um, both Capricorn and Cancer have certain fears. And these fears, where it could be imagined or real, will kind of like paralyze them from moving forward to making a decision that will bring a healthy perspective of the relationship that they're in. Okay? The Cancer man or the Cancer woman will always be assessing. They will not be totally at peace whether if they are involved in a relationship that's going to nurture them as much as they're nurturing. With the Capricorn man, it is almost right to even think that way. Because if the Capricorn man loves you, which he most probably does, the issue becomes in the exposition and expressing the emotion. And that is where the Capricorn man fails. He assumes that the woman will be able to pick up on it. And that very well may be true. But a woman wants to be told that she's loved, embraced. And that can be a problem for the Capricorn man. Dealing with a woman that may necessarily need that. She might need that healing. If she doesn't get it, then she's going to feel that you don't love her enough. It truly is simple. And we're done with part one.